The line of questioning here is ridiculous. You're going to accuse me of shooting the messenger, and I'll start by defending myself slightly and say that's not entirely true. I have just as much of a problem, and honestly, I think you should too, with the reporter's implication as I do with Steve Sarkisian's response. The entire exchange, because it's really, I don't want to make it about him because I think he's doing what would be expected. But here's the thing. The entire exchange is a good opportunity, I think, to rant. And I think it's a good opportunity for the average person to say, oh, come on, man, how out of touch could you guys really be? Steve Sarkisian's response is exactly what every Power 4, for that matter, Power 5 football coach would say. I mean, I'm cutting him some slack saying he answered probably the way I would expect him to answer, but it's ridiculous. The entire line of thinking is ridiculous. And to a lot of people, I wouldn't blame you if you didn't say, man, that's kind of offensive. So I want you to think about what job security means. What job security means to you. What job security means to the average person. I'll take it further and say what job security means to the not average person. Let's just say job security for a highly successful person in their field. Among the best in their field. What does job security really mean? So this line of questioning is ridiculous. The response is understandable, but also ridiculous. The backdrop to this exchange is 48 hours removed from Hugh Freeze getting fired from Auburn, which is a week after Brian Kelly at LSU was fired, which is about a week after James Franklin was fired at Penn State, which is about a week after, we can go down this list. A bunch of coaches have been fired by midseason in college football. You know the drill. They're getting fired in bunches, it seems. Brian Kelly had a 10-year contract for $95 million. He'll be paid $54 million to not coach. Hugh Freeze at Auburn. There's a reason why I bring this up. He had a losing record at Auburn. I think it was 15-19. In other words, he was bad at his job. He's owed almost $16 million. Reportedly, prepare yourself for this, Auburn will pay him $406,000 per month until January 31st of 2029. That's $406,000 each month for doing a lousy job. Remember, circle back, what does job security mean? But Jeff, that's what the market will bear. This is what the market is, Jeff. I know it is. How dare anyone in that field complain about job security? I know how dumb the market is. That's not the coach's fault that the market will pay a man who is lousy at his job $406,000 a month to not coach. I know that. But to complain about job security should make you vomit on your shoes. Here's why I bring it up. At the Steve Sarkisian news conference, and again, I mean, you homers and face painters are going to fight with me. I'm not picking on him. It's just the exchange itself set up something that I think you probably hear all around the country. I think it's outrageous. You'll hear the reporter set up the question by suggesting college football is at a turbulent time and the rash of firings of college football coaches means and indicates that job security is no longer exists. Pay close attention.
On the business side of college football, another weekend brings another high-profile midseason coach firing and new conversations about the size of contracts and buyouts. But are those kinds of deals for coaches the marketplace for the foreseeable future in a marketplace where job security can vanish rather quickly in the NIL and the portal era?
That should surely mean yes, right? Because who wants to take a job without any, the fact that the amount of pressure that coaches are under, the amount of scrutiny they're under, the amount of, 1 week you're a hero, the next week you're a zero mentality that fan bases and people want to have. surely coaches want some security to what they sign up to go do. We work really hard, and I get it. We all want to win, and we're all busting our tails to try to win, and sometimes things don't go your way, especially in our conference. It's tough. And so the idea that coaches don't want some security in the jobs that they take, that doesn't quite make sense to me. It should be like, man, somewhere in here, somebody has got to be willing to say, hey, let's see if this can work itself out. Not every year, not all 16 teams in the SEC are going to go to the playoff. It's just not reality. We're talking about trying to get 4 or 5 teams in this year. Last year we got 3. We got 3 teams, and what do we have, 3 or 4 in the top 10 in the country right now. And so it's really difficult, and everybody's fighting for it. And I know we all want to go to the playoffs, but I just think it's really hard to think that a coach is going to bust his tail. And it's not just about the coach, it's the staff, it's the players. And I get it. This is a lucrative industry that we're part of, and the TV deals and the college football playoff, and there's a lot going into it. Well, sometimes you got to pay the guy that's the one leading the ship and driving the ship. And again, I would have said that if I was an assistant coach right now. It just is what it is. As you guys know, I'm a fan of college football. I watch what goes into every one of these games, and the exposure and College Game Day and Big Noon Kick and all the things that go into it. Well, the coach is doing a lot of that work to get that done, and he's recruiting well, and we're trying to do all these things. And so, hey, that's the price you pay. If you hired a coach and you don't think that he's the right coach for you, that's part of it. You got to pay him. That's just the way it works, unfortunately. But that's the industry that we're in. And so,
okay, pressure, security. Remember what I said, job security. The question, and the way it was set up, in my opinion, I'm happy to fight with any of you, is laughable, because the premise is there's no job security. That is one of the dumbest concepts for that industry and that job that I've heard. No job security? That was the premise here. There's no job security. Did you not hear me? A man is being paid $406,000 a month for the next 6 years to do a lousy job that he's not doing anymore. What security do you want? What kind of... who works in that world? Steve Sarkisian's answer, again, I'm shooting the messenger, but it's a bigger issue. Good for him that he can get $10 million a year for the next 10 years. Any one of us would take it. But to then say there's got to be security as if there's no security is ridiculous. He and his football coaching brothers have an obligation to get all they can. But the idea that college football coaches don't have security should make everyone listening throw up on your shoes. Here's why. Here's why arguing and claiming no security is ridiculous. How much security should a coach get? How much should they deserve? If 10 or 12 years is not enough, okay, if $406,000 a month for the next 6 years is not security, what is? 20? A lifetime? The man had a losing record. How secure should the job be? The coach at Auburn, just like all of those fired before him and all of them in that industry, he's going to get more than $406,000 a month for the next 6 years, and he was bad at his job. How do you not call that security? I call that stupidity. He failed. Who has a job like that? I'll challenge you. Seriously, tell me how many people that are really good at what they do have 10-year contracts, 12-year contracts? How many people do you know, highly successful? Do you know they get $600,000 a month to be bad at what they do for multiple years? Nobody has 10 to 12-year contracts in any field, including the NFL. They don't do that. I mean, we can sit here and pick away at CEOs of privately held companies, I guess, but who else is seeing deals like this? Let's be honest. Who's really seeing security like this? The Power 4 coaching industry isn't turbulent. It's a golden ticket, unlike any industry in this country. Feel free to disagree with me. It's not pressure packed. I'm not saying people aren't mean and they don't rip you on radio shows and online, but it isn't turbulent. It's the golden ticket. No, these men don't want to be bad at their jobs. Yes, they want to succeed. But that's not a lack of security. That's a golden ticket. Coaches at Power 4 programs have more job security than 99.999998% of employees in this country. Again, I'll ask you, how do you define job security? Your grandkids never have to worry about paying the bills, and you failed at your job. What is not secure about that? That's more than nine. I could probably add a few nines if you would like. 99.9999. Add more until you get to 10 more nines. Nobody has a guarantee of a job for 12 years. Nobody's paid for 12 years. No NFL coach has job security for 12 years. No NFL coach has a contract more than 5 years, and the one that does has won multiple Super Bowls. He's not bad at his job. And the NFL coaching field is far more turbulent and, quote, less secure than the college industry. You know what job security is? And again, no one's happy that a guy gets fired. I'm sure none of these people wanted to get fired. Many of us would love it, but their interest and sincerity, I trust to be true. But job security is having $12 million a year. That's pretty good to be bad at your job. I mean, are coaches supposed to win more than they lose? Yes. So what? I mean, we act as if this is some sort of awful career path. I mean, it's not that hard. It sucks to have people say bad things about you online. But does it suck to the tune of $600,000 a month for 6 years? Do coaches... Do they get booed and ripped online? Yes. And my response is, so what? Are coaches in an unsettled industry? Yes. And the answer again is, so what? Who isn't? Right? How can they complain? How can you say, well, Jeff, how can you say, so what? I'll tell you how exactly I can say, so what? Because unsettled applies to everybody in every job there is. There is no such thing as settled. And you know what else? There's no such thing as settled and rich. That's pretty hard to pull off, isn't it? What is your definition of security? Who doesn't work in an unsettled field? Right? The woe is me by any coach in general. And I think this is coming up all around the country. I do not fault Steve Sarkisian or anybody else for taking as much money as they can. It's presented to you. You have an obligation to take it. Yes. But the woe is me attitude is really insufferable. Can you imagine an NFL coach going, woe is me? There's no security out here. Do you ever hear that? And they don't have 12-year contracts. They don't. Not even close. So, well, Jeff, you jerk, what's a better answer? I'll tell you what I think would be a reasonable answer. A lot of coaches get fired faster than ever before. I hate that. But we're well compensated, and we're taken care of. I'm grateful to come to work every day. Most people don't have what we have in the coaching business. End of quote. There, leave it at that. I don't know how anyone, and I'm sure he is of the norm, right? Of saying, this business is so unsettled. This is so unfair. Look what's happening. We lose security. Security is not lack of security is not paying your bills. I'm pretty sure when you're lousy at your job, we don't say lack of security when you get almost $500,000 a month to not do your job for 6 years. Is getting rich the coach's fault? No, it's not. Their bosses started this, and I don't think anything will change. I don't. In fact, I think the bar will be taken even higher. in the next month or two or however long it takes to start the hiring process. The next round of hires, I think, will be for only bigger money, and I think it'll be for the longer term. I don't think there's anything about this that will change. I'm just ranting because I think complaining about job security by, in a world where there isn't such a thing as job security by anyone, and I'll be honest, in any industry, but this is the norm. It's the norm in the coaching industry. These contracts are the norm. If you say back to me, yeah, well, what about Howard Stern, Jeff, in your industry, or Stephen A. Smith in your industry, or Joe Rogan? Yes, that's not the norm. It's out of the norm. And I'll add to this. If one of them, if somebody making $100 million over, I'll make it up, a 12-year contract, complained about security, they should be ripped. It's not the norm. It's not the norm in any industry, but in Power 4 football coaching, it is the norm. It's not their fault. It's not. Complaining is their fault. Saying stuff like job security. And again, I think it was to be fair to Steve Sarkisian to a degree, I think he's trying to, the reporter's premise was leading and ridiculous. I can't believe some of you actually think in terms of these poor guys have no job security. Are you for real? What do you do for a living? That's not the path to take. And please, don't anybody in the field complain, and certainly don't complain about job security. Hey, here's a recommendation backed up by my own experience, a great experience. And that is, I've been a client of DJC Law, and I can tell you this. You're going to get three things with DJC Law. You'll notice it right away. The difference is you will get peace of mind. They will take care of every single detail perfectly, and you will get the result you deserve. If you're injured by the negligence of someone else, fighting with an insurance company for any reason, trust me when I tell you, you will need DJC Law. Dan Christensen and his team of attorneys have a remarkable track record. I've known Dan a long time. He's a military vet. He's board certified in civil trial law, and I've been a client. So you can trust them. You will get the result you deserve. Check out teamjustice.com, and you'll see thousands of 5-star reviews. The bottom line is, if you're in an accident, you need DJC Law. Contact them right away. 512-888-9999.